Once upon a time, children in Alabama didn't have a voice. There was no one to make sure our health and safety was protected or to ensure all of us could look forward to a bright future. There was no one to listen to our struggles and speak for us.
The landscape looked grim. I mean, when we started looking at child well-being indicators that other states were measuring and people all across the country were looking at, Alabama was ranked 48th to 50th in almost every indicator. But you know, I think the most disconcerting issue was that there was not a single voice.
There wasn't a guiding force. There wasn't a place where we could go and just all together speak for children, especially when we were talking about policy. We needed a voice at the legislature so bad. We all knew that. And so voices came from that.
In 1992, the Alabama Power Foundation brought together a group of people who wanted to bring attention to the needs of Alabama's children. The Children's Hospital of Alabama, the Junior League of Birmingham, and the Alabama chapter of the Academy of Pediatrics partnered with the Alabama Power Foundation to launch an organization that will be the voice for Alabama's children.
And then the steering committee said, let's create an organization that their whole sole purpose is to advocate for children, different ages of children and different issues. So that was kind of the beginning of what was the creation of a state network of organizations and partners that really could unite.
Voices for Alabama's Children is an army. From our 5,000 grassroots advocates from every corner of this state, to our 70+ member organizations representing local child-serving organizations, to our dedicated staff, and our visionary board of directors, we are transforming this state, not as one organization, but as a collective.
We really did come to the conclusion that we had to move the office down to Montgomery. It made a huge difference in the capacity of voices to be there, to be present for meetings, to have a voice in places not only in the legislature during legislative sessions, but with state departments when they were making those important policy decisions. One of the other things we needed, though, we didn't have a lot of money with the legislature. We needed data, and we knew that. And so we came together with that voice to the legislators and with data to back up what we were saying.
In that first Alabama Kids Count data book and the Alabama Kids Count report, we reported on 14 indicators on child well-being. Things like infant deaths and child and teen preventable deaths, first grade retention, students graduated from high school dropouts. So many of the indicators that were in the very first National Kids Count book were also in our first state book.
From 1997, Voices introduced and reformed policies to protect the health, safety, and well-being of all children in Alabama.
They have worked to try to get pre-K fully funded in our state. We're in the middle of a 10-year plan, and we've gone from serving 2% in 2006 to 28% this next school year. And so that's a great success for our state as far as being able to provide a good, high-quality early learning experience for children through first-class pre-K.
We know that 4-year-olds are learning in age-appropriate activities, that it's developing their brain and getting them ready to learn when they start their formal schooling. We know this program works. It's closed achievement gaps in our state, and the impact is there throughout their elementary education.
So in the past 3 years alone, we've seen record investments in first-class pre-K. We've seen the establishment of the state's first healthy food financing program to eradicate food deserts.
How can we find a way to get healthy food in the hands of folks in my district in rural Alabama that need them? Very few people really understood this before we dove into this topic headlong, trying to help people recognize and understand that there are places in our state where you can't buy healthy food without driving 10 to 15 miles. The folks at Voices were kind enough to help me understand some of the statistical reality of what was going on in Alabama. We've had great support in the House and in the Senate related to this idea, and I expect that we will continue.
We've also seen the state take on landmark policy opportunities around the regulation of child care facilities.
So when they came back, I think Amaya was kind of asleep. They had her on the back seat and they got the other kids off. And then I think after an hour, 2 hours, they realized that Amaya was still on the bus, and then they went back out to check. And at that point, the van was steaming hot. She had, hypothermia had overcome her and took her to the hospital, but they pronounced her dead on arrival.
Across the board, there are some type of standards in place to ensure that all of these kids are protected. They're citizens and they have rights, and there needs to be someone there to make sure that they're being protected and that they're safe at all times.
Over the past 25 years, more people have joined in the work to create an Alabama where all children have an opportunity to grow up safe and healthy. Voices continue to build on its legacy by advocating for strong early childhood education programs, working to provide access to fresh, healthy foods for every Alabama community, and ensuring that all children get a healthy start in life by holding child care facilities responsible for safety and well-being.
When we realize that not just taking that step of giving something or teaching something to a child, but changing the laws, changing the policies that impact that whole family system, the whole family dynamics, and those children as individuals, that's how we're going to make a long-term, systemic, and significant change in our state.
But I have to believe that one reason we're so much closer to the vision we all have of no child living in poverty and every child being prepared for the global economy is because Voices did the research, made the public aware of the research, and influenced policy, especially on early childhood education. So I think Voices had a major role to play.
Even though our voices can be heard now, your voice is still needed. We need your help to make our state a place where all children have a chance to grow up safe and healthy and get a positive start to life.
Our voices will not be quieted until every child in Alabama is safe, secure, educated, and healthy and cared for.
Until no child lives in poverty, until no child goes to bed hungry, until every child has access to a high-quality early learning experience, and so on and so forth, we will remain in this fight. Because Alabama's children have got to have a strong voice, and we are here to be that voice.
Once upon a time, children in Alabama didn't have a voice. Then Voices for Alabama's Children came along to be the voice for children like me, fighting for our health, safety, economic security, and education for 25 years. And I know they will continue to use their voices to fight for children like me every single day. How are you going to use your voice?